Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I am glad to see you virtually, those who are watching live and those who are watching later. If you are watching, please click like and share on your different platforms. My name is Natasha Robinson, and I am the creator and curator of Legaleaze. Please, we are a digital platform that is designed to build you up by breaking it down, it being any and all types of forms of oppression that can be by way of knowledge, by way of access, by way of comprehension. Legalese Please is here to engage in continuing legal education that you can comprehend, that you can understand, and that you can share. And the intended outcome is for us as students to become teachers so that we are able to not only silo this situation, we don't want that. We want it to be a flowing of information to those uh, who need it the most. And so if you are here, please come in the room. I want to say good afternoon because that's the time it is here, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you are coming on live or later, please click like and please click share. And just come on and say hi to me real quick so that I can shout you out. I don't know if I said my name already, but if I did not, I am Natasha Robinson, the creator and curator of Legaleaze Please. I have been a legal practitioner for over 20 years. It's probably close to 23. Licensed as that. I've also been an educator, a practitioner, and a professor. So if you are coming in, come on in. Good afternoon, Joycelyn. How are you doing? And good afternoon, Danielle. Glad to see you here. Um, Let me get my information together because I said I was not going to uh, be here long. Today begins the first in a series of Freestyle Fridays or Freedom Fridays. I pretty much call it Freedom Fridays, where I freestyle by way of providing information and explanation and then application. Those are the three steps that we are going to go through. So information, explanation, and application. So by the end of today, you will have some information which you may already know, but you may not know that you knew. Okay, that's what I want to say. You may know it and you may be able to do it, but you may not know that this is what you were doing. Okay, so today's theme is the asking and action of questions. The asking of questions. Now, if you've ever been in a trial, if you've ever watched a trial, if you've ever watched any type of legal program, real or fictional, you will see that there are usually attorneys that represent two sides, at least two sides. And those two sides are providing interrogatories to the person who is on the stand, known as a witness. This witness comes and testifies, give a version of the facts as they know it, and they promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And through a series of questions, the witness is able to testify to the relevance of whether or not the accused is guilty or not guilty. And so there are particular type of skills which are used. I'm going to explain what those tools are. I no longer subscribe to the fact that you need to be a lawyer or impacted by the legal system or go to law school in order to know these skills. Okay, I believe that while there are those like myself who are trained and skilled to do this work, there is a barrier of privilege and exclusion that prevents the everyday person from understanding the technical skills, the substance, and the procedure. Now, this does not mean to forsake legal professionals or attorneys, but what it does is it gives a basic understanding so that you are not disenfranchised from an outcome in which you have a direct involvement, a direct investment. All right, so let's get started. So the first skill that we're going to go over is called direct examination. All of these terms that I am using is from a legal perspective. It starts off at a legal perspective. So it's legal and, put it like that. So we are shying away from binaries of either or. We're going to go with both and. All right. So direct examination is, by my definition, open-ended questions that ask the who, what, when, where, why, and how of a situation and a witness. Direct examination are open-ended questions that ask the who, what, when, where, why, and how of a situation through a witness. So in direct examination, what is happening is that there is a witness who is testifying to what they saw, what they have learned, and the questions that are posed to them are open-ended questions where the focus is not on the person asking the question. The focus is on the person who is giving the response, who is giving the answer. And for the fact finders, meaning for those who have to make the decision of whether or not there is enough evidence for the defendant to be found guilty or not guilty, the witness has to provide enough information for the hearer, which is the judge or the jury, to listen and then make a determination as to whether or not, based upon what is being testified to, there is enough evidence to the guilt or innocence. Let me add legal guilt or legal innocence to that person. Okay, at another time, I'll talk about what is the difference. But for right now, I just want you to hang your hat on that. What I also want you to know is that when the person is testifying, the interrogator, if you will, the person who asks the questions, asks questions so that the witness can paint a picture. They can paint a picture with words, with sounds, with pictures, whatever the medium. But the witness is testifying. So when the attorney is asking a witness a question, either the attorney who is trying to prosecute someone or the attorney who is trying to have someone acquitted, the questions are related. They are relevant to the subject matter. They are also relevant to the knowledge base of the witness. So direct examinations, they ask who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then the witness, through the listening of the questions, will provide answers or responses that the judge and the jury can use in the determining of the guilt or innocence of the suspect. Okay, those are direct examination questions. Cross-examination questions, however, are closed-ended questions, really statements that extract information from an opposing witness. Okay, closed-ended questions that are really statements that extract information from an opposing witness. So in cross-examination, whereas you are asking open-ended questions, in cross-examination, what you're doing is you are telling the witness the answer. And strategically, your ability to obtain victory does not rest in the voice or the witness of the person testifying. All right. So what happens is that when you are asking cross-examination questions, you are not asking a witness per se. You are telling a witness and you are waiting for them to adopt what you say. And even if they don't adopt it, the question, the telling of what you want to expose is a low-key form of evidence that the judge and the jury can learn. I'll explain it in a minute. But cross-examination is never about the focus on the witness per se. The focus for cross-examination is really on the question asker, because what you are doing when you are engaging cross-examination is you are trying to Say that there is a incongruency, meaning there's a difference between what you said earlier and what you're saying today. There is the attempt of the cross examiner to show that you are lying, you are mistaken, or you are biased. That you are lying, that you are mistaken, or that you were biased. It couldn't be a combination, either one. So if you're lying, the cross examinations will say, oh, okay, you saying all of this? Well, that's not what you said earlier. Or your protocol dictates that when you are doing something and you are responding to something, what you are saying now is out of you lying because you're trying to be slick, or you are mistaken because something is affecting your memory, or you are biased, which is there is a particular form of information that has you testifying a particular way, even though that is not the truth. So when someone is cross-examining, while the focus technically is on the witness, it's really on the questions, because you are cross-examining a witness who is opposed to your position. So you expect for them to testify. It's not about them hating you all the time or about them having an agenda. It just means that what they're testifying to may be adverse to your side. So if you are a defense attorney doing a cross-examination of a prosecution witness, then the prosecution witness is testifying and their information is designed to hold the defendant accountable. Likewise, when a prosecution attorney is doing a cross-examination of a defense witness, if there are any, then it is that the defense witness is testifying to something that is trying to acquit the defendant, and the prosecution is saying, no, that's not what this is going on. This is not what's happening. Okay, so direct examination, again, the focus is on the witness. You are asking who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. Those questions do not have to always start with who, what, when, where, why, and how, but it is to elicit responses and answers that help provide a verbal or written or a visual landscape to help the trier of fact, who is the determiner of whether or not a suspect is guilty or innocent, the judge or the jury. It helps them understand. And just because you can ask a question doesn't mean you need to. Because when you are strategic, you are asking questions that are relevant to what you believe happened. What is the legal reason for why a person should be held accountable? Or what is the legal reason for why the defendant should be found not guilty? Okay, so just because you ask a question does not necessarily mean it is relevant or helps to understand what is going on in the case. You have to think about the questions that you are asking. Cross-examination is another form of interrogation, but these are closed-ended questions or statements that extract information from an opposing witness. So if you are on the prosecution side and you cross-examine the defendant is the opposing witness if the defendant chooses to testify, because the defendant has a constitutional right not to testify and that not be held against them. If you are a defense attorney and you are cross-examining, say, for example, a police officer, the police officer is trying to say, this is the evidence that we collected, and that evidence shows that your client needs to be held responsible. And you, as the interrogator, are saying through your questions/statements that is untrue. All right. So let me give some examples. And if you are coming in, please click like and share so that you will be able to not only learn, but able to teach. Let's say, for example, I am dating someone. And I am dating someone and I have waited for our anniversary to come around so that I could low-key flex and tell everyone who is connected to me that me and my baby, we have reached our 1-year anniversary. And in order to become Instagram famous, in order to tell people, you know, if you just pray Sierra's prayer or whatever that is, that will get you the desires of your heart. And in this case, the desires of my heart is embodied in my ideal man. So me and my man, we have reached 1 year anniversary. We're happy, we're excited, we're thrilled, and I want to get on social media and I want to flex a little bit. And so I tell people that this is what we're doing for our anniversary. I say that, my bae, he woke up in the morning, he told me this and gave me that, and likewise, and all this type of stuff, because I'm happy. All right. And through the course of the day, as I'm waiting to get to do what I've already said I was going to do, my man tells me, oh, I'm coming down with a cold. And so, in the age of the flu and, COVID, I want to be extra cautious. So we're not going to be able to go anywhere tonight. Now I'm hot. I'm burning. I'm steamed because I just told you, I told my people, this is what we are doing for our anniversary. And now I have to go back and say, well, we can't give you a live, or we cannot give you, pictures or a reel because, my baby is sick. So I am upset. I talked to my baby and my baby says, you know what? You've already purchased tickets to the show. Why don't you just take your girls? And I'm like, well, I can't roll up on my girls like that. I can't hug up on them. I can't do a reel with my girls. And my man says, no, go ahead. I will make it up to you, whatever. So I call my girls and I say, okay, my sweetie is sick. We've already purchased these tickets, excuse me. And as a result, we are going to the show. So I pick up my girls 1 and 2. We go to the show. And because the line is long, because it's an opening weekend, I'm scrolling through my social media, and I see that my baby, who was supposed to be sick, is actually at the same location with another person that is not me. So I'm hot because this Negro has a nerve not only to do a selfie with whoever this person is, but has a nerve to tag where he is and whom he is with. And in this picture is the other person who is wearing the jacket that I gave my man. I know, scandalous, the audacity. And so I tell my girls, and my girls 1 and 2 is like, what you want to do? Because we got hands and we could throw them. Try Jesus, don't try us. And I'm like, no, we need to be classy and not assy. So I'm gonna handle it. Hold my spot. I'll be right back. So I go to where my man is standing with this other person. And this is what happens. And this is where direct and cross-examination come in. And this is where you realize you already have the skills to do this. You just may not have known that this is what you're doing. Direct examination looks like me coming up to my man and saying, hey, how you doing, sweetie? I thought that you were sick. How are you feeling now? And who is this woman that is here with you? Why did you choose to take her and not take me? Why would you lie? Can you tell me the circumstances that led to this particular decision? And why is it that you would do this? You would injure me on our anniversary? Why would you do something like that? These are direct examination questions because they are open-ended, because I really want to get the information from my man. I want to know, who is this person? I want to know, what are you doing here? I want to know, when did you decide that you were going to step out on me? Where of all the places could you have gone to cheat on me, but you go to the exact same place? And how could you do this to me? And his responses help paint a picture for me to decide whether or not I'm going to continue this relationship, whether I'm going to put him on blast on social media, whether I am going to accidentally pound him and said, woman, we don't know. Okay. That is direct examination. Cross-examination, however, is when you could give a damn about what my man says, because I don't care, because I have all the evidence that I need. And so now the listener is looking at my man, but they're listening to me. So cross-examination will be like, I can't believe that you would decide of all days that you would just clown like that. And now, not only do you clown, you have the audacity to try and tag this person and the location. You out here got me looking bad? Is this how you want to do? Is there something that I did to you? And why is this woman wearing something that I bought you? Why do you choose to go to this theater and embarrass me like that in front of all my friends? You couldn't tell me that you didn't want to be together. You couldn't tell me. So do you see the difference in cross-examination? Although the focus or the questions is being pointed to the man, the witness, the focus is on me. And do I really care what his answers are going to be? Absolutely not. Because whatever he says, I then am going to pose a question statement that is going to prove that he is lying, biased, and or mistaken. Okay, so when you have these conversations with your family, your friends, your colleagues, and you are asking questions, what you are really doing is you are engaging in direct examination and cross-examination. Direct examination, where you are trying to elicit information from a person who is on your side, and cross-examination, where you are still trying to elicit information, but from a more reluctant witness, a witness who was on the other side. And the difference is in the framing. The difference is in the framing. Direct examination is, I am invested in what you have to say. Please share with us your perspective. Cross-examination is, I could give two blanks what you think about the situation, because I'm going to tell you what my perspective is. And your job is to say yes or no. And if you say anything else other than that, I got something for you in my next question. Okay? So that is direct examination. That is cross-examination. Now, I said I was going to give you information, explanation, and now I'm on to application. And how does this apply to Freedom Fridays or Freestyle Fridays? I'm glad you asked. In the world of social media and beyond, we have to learn and remember how to refrain from giving automatic affirmation without thorough investigation. We have to refrain from giving automatic affirmation without thorough investigation. We live in a time where it is too easy to share misinformation. Well, we don't think about something. We think either because it is clickbait and it's going to get us a high level of audiences, or because the poster or the sharer is a reputable person, it must be true, or the poster or the sharer of information we want to align ourselves with, and so we just share it. Whether we invest in it, whether we have authenticated it, whether we have done our own research. And so in order to maintain freedom and to stay free, think about what you're thinking about. Everything that is on the internet is not true. And some of us, we are getting a little lazy, which is the sharing of information without the processing, without the research, without understanding. Before I share this, and sometimes before I comment, as I am giving a perspective, am I trying to persuade or am I trying to present? Okay, there has been a plethora of information that I have seen in my algorithms as of late. And it is just people sharing information that is incorrect. But because they are the sharer, because they are the believed one, because they are the received one, people just hit share and they do not think, they have not processed, they have not analyzed, they have not researched. And I would ask each of you to not give automatic affirmation without first thorough investigation. That's how you stay free. That's how you are not pulled into false wares and false traps. Okay, that's how you retain your reputation in addition to your character. Let your character be such that you think about a thing before you reiterate a thing. Okay? The second thing is, before the asking, know your audience. So, whenever we are in law school or wherever we are law graduates, one of the first things professors would teach us is know your audience. When you are framing your questions, before you frame your questions, think about what is the source of your information. And then think about what is the source from whom you ask. And that will help augment and frame and figure out what questions to ask. Remember, in cross-examination especially, you do not ask a question to which you already know the answer. Because what happens is if you get with what I call a cute witness, someone that takes your ill-formed question and just starts whipping you over the head with their answers, then in court, because everything is taken down, you do not look like the intelligent person that you are. So what you do is you figure out who is the audience, who is the hearer, who is the listener, who is the transcriber, who is the reader. And then through your questions, whenever information comes in front of you, you decide what are the questions that I need to ask to verify this, to expose a bias, to expose a mistake, to expose a lie, and or what are the questions to fill in the blanks, to make it so that the landscape of the picture or the visual or the fact is set in such a way that the person can understand. You have to know your audience. An example of this is when I was growing up, when my sisters and I were growing up, we knew that when my mother was preparing for choir rehearsal, you do not disturb her. But if you had to disturb her, you got to know your audience, which means if this is a person who is ingrained in the process and the synthesis of music and they are fully locked in, your questions have to be such that they elicit a particular type of answer. And so because we knew this about my mother, we would not bother her unless we knew for sure that her answer was going to be yes and amen. Okay. Sorry, mommy. So what would end up happening is that we would not bother her unless it was something in which we were really, really invested. And then she would give the answer that would help us accommodate or accomplish what we wanted. Okay, we were children. Don't come at me. Don't at me in the comments, because children, one of the skills we develop is the skills of timing and of manipulation. Okay, so know your audience. Before you ask these questions, before you start answering, for example, on social media, know your audience. Is this a clickbait situation? Is this a situation you just need to scroll on by? Is this a situation that you need to weigh in, not for the purpose of persuasion, but for the purpose of presenting? Why are you asking questions? Are you trying to have your identity strengthened? Are you trying to have your identity affirmed and confirmed by other people who are also on that post? When you are asking questions in real life, know your audience. Okay? The third thing that I want you to walk away from on this Freedom Friday is comfort and discomfort can coexist. Every question will not have an answer. I want you to get in the feeling of the fact that sometimes comfort and discomfort will coexist. There are different spaces and places that do not encourage the asking of questions. Some of those places would be in parenting. Why should I do this? Because I said so. In church, where you may have some faith leaders that say it is what it is and the Bible says what it says. I believe it, that settles it, that's it. So if you ask questions that is aligned to a lack or non-existence of your faith. In schools, sometimes when you have educators that will say, I don't want you to think about what I'm telling you. I want you to reiterate what I'm telling you. In doctors' places, sometimes where we go to get checkups, any type of issue, medically, physically, mentally, if we ask, sometimes, not all doctors, because my doctor happens to be great, but sometimes If you ask a question, sometimes you are hurried up with there is a response given, but there is not an answer given. And so you stay there until you get an answer to your question. In any of these situations, or in all of these situations, or in situations that I have not raised, please understand that on this Freedom Friday, understand that there is power in the asking of questions. There is power in your presence. There is power in your voice. And I want you to straighten up physically, literally, figuratively. And I want you to know that what you pose has power. Do not be dissuaded. Do not be hushed. Do not be minimized, but understand that there is power in asking questions. And also understand that some questions do not have any answers. And so I want us to learn how to kind of sit in that discomfort and understand that just because you can give an answer does not mean you have to. Sometimes the question alone is the answer, and sometimes the question leads to more questions, particularly for people of faith. Well, we are told not to question God. We are told not to question God's will. And I'm just here to say, not to persuade you, but to present a different perspective, which is I don't subscribe to that anymore. I believe everybody has the right to ask a question. And the question is not just in who you ask, but the form of which you ask and try to elicit information. Okay? So those are the three things that I will say again, is that refrain from giving automatic affirmation without thorough investigation. There are too many things happening in the law and in life where we cannot just say, well, because someone posted it or because someone said it, that it must be so. No, use your, what they say, my elders would say, use your brain for more than a hat rack. Think about what you're thinking about. Is it reliable? Is it something that can be tried and tested? And don't be afraid to disagree. If you disagree, that's what it is. Okay? Before you ask a question, know the audience. To whom are you asking? What perspective do they sit in? Why are you asking these questions? Do these questions help you arrive not only to an answer, but maybe to a process of thinking? And then understand that sometimes question asking can be uncomfortable. Every question will not have an answer. So these tips are not just for law, but they are also for life. Okay. And so on this freedom, this Freestyle Friday, I want us to understand that we already have the skills to know how to elicit information through the form of questions. And we have the right to engage in the critical analysis that helps us get deeper and wider in our understanding and experience. Okay. So that's all I have for today. I said I was going to come in and I was going to come out. If you wish to watch this episode as well as any previous Legaleaze Please episodes, go to YouTube channel is Legaleaze Please, and you can hit subscribe, and then you can hit the bell that reminds you when I am coming on live. You can watch this episode as well as previous episodes to help understand, to help undergird your understanding of the law in everyday language. If you ever wish to support Legaleaze Please, this is the best ways that you can do it. You can do it by way of Zelle, which is sending it to the email address that is posted above or below, I should say, as well as with PayPal. It's the same information, nlrobinson.esq@gmail.com. And also through Cash App, if you want to invest in this work, is $Legaleaze Please. Okay? Do me a favor, if you have not already, please click like, please click share. Let people know that this is what's happening on this side of the internet for the purposes of you not only being a student, but also being a teacher. And lastly, please make sure that you don't just listen to what I say, but that you verify what I say and then add your own experience to it. And then that will make it truly freedom, not just for me, but for us all. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a phenomenal week and take care. Bye-bye.